there, and welcome to the Girl Means Business podcast, the show that's all about helping photographers just like you build a thriving business without sacrificing your sanity. I'm your host, Kendra Swalls, a former teacher turned full-time photographer and marketing coach, here to fill your earbuds each week with practical tips, real-life stories, and a whole lot of encouragement. So if you're ready to dive in, let's get to it because this girl means business. Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of Things People Post on the Internet That Make Me Record Podcast Episodes. Yes, this is another episode where I'm going to be sharing with you a post I found in a Facebook group that inspired me to have a conversation about it. Today, we're talking about social media, the bane of my existence. I cannot stand social media, but yet it is a necessary evil to some degree when it comes to business. And so here we are, we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk specifically about what to say in your captions when it comes to social media, because I see a lot of photographers getting it wrong. And I want to talk about what they're doing wrong, what you might be doing wrong, and how to fix it, but also how to make things a little bit easier for yourself. Okay, so let me get back to the original reason behind this episode, which is a post I saw in a Facebook group. Yes, once again, I feel like I'm on repeat here. I promise not all of my episodes will be about this, but this one in particular was another one that just kind of made me go, okay, well, if you're feeling this, I think other people are feeling this. And I am clearly correct because this particular post had been up for about an hour whenever I came across it, and it already had close to 60 responses. And so I'm reading through not only the original question that was asked, but I'm reading through the responses as well. And that's what really made me go, I feel like this is a larger conversation that needs to be had than what can be said inside of just a Facebook post comment. Okay, so let's start with the original question. And then I feel like there's going to be kind of two parts to this, and you'll see why in just a second. So this is what her post said. She said, "How are we writing Instagram captions? Question mark, question mark. Please don't say ChatGPT because I can spot a chat response a mile away and I find them super obvious and cringy. I think what stops me from posting more is the fact that I can never think of a caption to go with the photos, and I'm always trying to write a caption that boosts my engagement." And then she goes on and gives some examples, blah, blah, blah. And so here's two parts to this. I do want to talk to the ChatGPT piece of this, but then I also want to get into the bigger part of like, what are we saying in our captions? Because there were a lot of people who were commenting about the ChatGPT piece in her comment. And then there were a lot of people who were commenting saying either, I'm with you, I have no idea what to say either, or, different variations of that. So, okay, let's start really quickly with the ChatGPT piece of this, because I think that there is some truth, but also misconception inside of the ChatGPT part of her post. One, can she spot it a mile away? Maybe. I do think there are a lot of really well written and used ChatGPT content on the internet that we don't realize is what it is ChatGPT. I'll say there's some really good content that started as a ChatGPT response, and the poster or the user has changed it up and added their own voice to it, making it their own, but they get the foundation to start with. Do I think there are some out there that are really, really, really obvious and bad? Absolutely. Now, I use ChatGPT a lot. For example, when I'm creating podcast episodes, if I am like, hey, I know I want to talk about this, but I can't get really my thoughts in order, I will go into ChatGPT, and I have trained ChatGPT. I have different sub chats going on within my ChatGPT that allows me to go, hey, this entire thread is all about my podcast. This, AI bot knows my podcast inside and out. And so I can go and say, hey, I want to do an episode on this. I want to do an episode on Instagram captions. Here's kind of the 4 points that I've kind of mapped out that I want to talk about, but I don't really know how to make them flow together, or I need some clarity around this. And my ChatGPT bot will give me some clarity. It will give me some good ideas and things that maybe be like, ooh, I hadn't thought of that angle of it, but yeah, let's run with that. And then I take it and then I create an outline and I do the episode. And I don't read a script when I'm on these podcast episodes, in case you couldn't tell by the rambling that I do. So it's not like I'm going in and having ChatGPT write a script for me. That might be a little obvious. But same thing with like blog posts and social content emails. It's a great way to get out of a rut. If you are so used to posting, look at this beautiful family, and the sunset was amazing, and you're like, I don't know what else to say, ask ChatGPT for ideas, and then take the ideas it gives you and turn them into your own. So when she says, don't say ChatGPT, I kind of roll my eyes a little bit because I'm like, guys, that's the direction that we're going these days. I know that AI is scary for a lot of people. I'm terrified of it to some degree, and the things that it's capable of doing and what it could potentially be capable of doing. But I also think that being a business owner that also has to work as a content creator to some degree, any edge that I can get, any advantage that I can get that's going to make things easier for myself, I'm going to take advantage of. Now, I'm someone who enjoys writing. I enjoy talking. I enjoy writing, but I write the way that I talk. And a lot of times that doesn't always translate well into like a great email or a great blog post. But if I can take what I have said and I can put it in ChatGPT and say, polish this up a little bit, and it can help it, polish it up, and then I can take it out and I can add in a few things or take a few things out, but it's helping me refine it. It's like giving it to an editor and saying, help me edit this. Why would I not want to take advantage of that tool? Just like a client management system. There were years and years of my business that like a client management system was not even something I knew about, or that I'm sure it existed, but I didn't know about it. And once I found my client management system, it made my life so much easier. Why would I not want to do that? Why would I not want to utilize something that is going to give me back time in my business, take things off my plate, and make things simpler for me? So that's kind of my idea and my take on the ChatGPT AI piece of this. I think that she's making this harder for herself than it has to be, but to each their own. If you or someone or she feels very strongly against the AI piece, that's totally fine. Then take the time and write the captions completely on your own. Okay, now let's get to the meat of her question, which is, what are you putting in your Instagram caption? Now, I went and looked at her Facebook or her Instagram account because she linked it in the original post. So if anyone has prompts for ideas, please let me know. Here's my Insta for reference. So I went and looked at her Instagram. Now, her Instagram, her images are gorgeous. That's not a question. That's not a problem. But what I'm seeing, an example is, there was a beautiful image of a wedding like detail photo. So it was like jewelry, perfume, the veil, the whole thing. And it was beautifully set up on kind of a pinkish background. And the caption was something along the lines of wedding details for spring, and then a couple of like spring emojis, and then some hashtags.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you have been listening to the Girl Means Business podcast for any amount of time, then you know my love of email marketing runs deep. Not only is it a great way to generate new leads, but it's one of the most effective methods for nurturing warm leads and turning them into sales. Now, over the years, I've tested several email platforms, and my favorite by far is Flowdesk. Not only do they make email marketing simple and easy, even for the technically challenged, but they have everything you need to create stunning emails, capture leads, make sales, and automate the entire process, giving you time back in your busy day. And the cherry on top is you're only charged one flat fee no matter how many subscribers you have. So while other platforms will increase your price when you go over your pricing tier limit, Flowdesk has no price increases or hidden fees. If you're ready to give Flowdesk a try, click the link below in the show notes to save 50% off your first year. Let Flowdesk help you design emails people will love. Click the link below and check it out. I have a feeling you're going to love it just as much as I do. Okay, if I am a viewer scrolling through Instagram, I might stop for a second and go, that's a pretty photo. Keep going. Even if I see the caption, Nothing about that caption makes me want to engage with that post. Not a single thing. I will look at it, I'll go pretty photo, and I will keep swiping. And if the goal is engagement, then you have to create content that's going to entice people to engage with your content. Now, here is where I have to give my little asterisk caveat piece here. This is my problem with social media right now. If you want to be successful on social media, you have to play the social media game. Okay? You have to be willing to do what social media wants you to do in order to get exposure. And unfortunately, what it wants you to do is not just post pretty pictures with flowery captions. Okay, that is not going to get you the result you want on social media anymore. It used to years ago. Now it's a whole different ballgame. And this is where I run into my struggle with social media is I'm not willing to play the social media game. And I fought it for so long. For so many years, I was like, no, I'm going to make social media work the way I want it to work. I want social media to be this way, not the other way. I want it to be the way I want to be able to post my pretty pictures and everybody sees it and everybody likes it and everybody engages with it. And I did that time and time again. And that saying of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's what a lot of y'all are doing on social media. It's what I did for a long time. You are posting on social media the way you want it to work for you, and you're not getting the results you want because the social media platform, the algorithm is saying, that's not how we do it here. That's not how we play this game. So if you want to come into my house and you want to be successful, you got to play my game by my rules. So if you are wanting social media to be successful and a piece of your brand, of your marketing that is really working for you, you got to play by their rules. And their rules are, it's got to grab attention, it's got to hold attention, and it's got to ask or tell people what to do. So let's talk about those pieces. It has to grab attention, okay? Your photos, no matter how amazing they might be, will not always be enough to just grab attention. And I hate saying that because I really want that to be, not the case. But unfortunately, just people are not as drawn to that. They might pause on it for a minute or two. But if there is not something on that image that is enticing them or encouraging them or directing them to read your caption or do something with your content, they're going to see it, they're going to think it's pretty, and they're going to keep on moving. They might tap it as a double tap. They might like it, whatever, heart it. But if you want people to actually engage with your content on social media, you have to play the game. And unfortunately right now, the game is video and content that grabs attention. So anything that is funny, outlandish, creative, out of the box, you got to do something different. And as a photographer, as an artist, that's hard because we want our feed to look like kind of our portfolio. And so trying to go in and do anything that's a little bit different is frustrating. Now, one thing I started doing, and I don't post very often on my Facebook or my Instagram page for my photography business, but if you want to go look, it's at Paisley Lane Photography. I started turning all of my posts into what looks like little Polaroid photos. And that way I can write words on the white bottom section of the Polaroid. So whatever topic I am talking about in the caption, I can put something on the photo that is going to direct my audience or my viewer to want to go, oh, what is this about? So for example, whenever you pull up my Instagram account, there's one that says what to wear. Okay, it's a photo of a branding session that I did. It's, a little Polaroid image. The full image is behind the Polaroid. So it's like the Polaroid's kind of sitting on top of the main photo with the photo in the Polaroid frame. And then it says what to wear. And then down in the caption is where I answer that question of what to wear. And so even something as simple as that can grab attention. So let's say you're a family photographer and you're posting these beautiful images of a family out in a field at sunset, and it's gorgeous lighting and the family's amazing and the candidness of it is great. You might get a quick pause, but you're not going to get a tap. You're not going to get a reading the caption most of the time. Okay. Now take that same photo, overlay it with something that has a title, something that's going to grab attention, something that might say a hook. So it's called a hook. Okay. In social media terms, it's called a hook. And a hook is what hooks people in, just like when you're fishing, your hook hooks the fish onto the bait. That hook in social media has to be what draws them in. So if you want them to read your caption, you have to draw them in. So you take that photo of that beautiful family, you put an overlay or a bar across it or something, wording across it somewhere, and you have it say something like, best location for family photos in, and then your area. Or 3 tips to make your family photos absolutely memorable. Or 5 ways to get your kids excited about family photos. And then you share that in the captions, or you turn it into a carousel post. The first image can be just that beautiful family photo with the little text over the top. And as they swipe through, they get the information. But you've got to hook them in. Okay. A lot of times now, if you scroll through Instagram, put yourself in the idea of the user. Pay attention to what you're actually looking at and reading and watching on social media. And if you go through and you're like, oh, I just kind of swipe through until I see something I like. And even then, I don't always read the caption, or I don't always pay attention to the caption. I might like it and then I keep scrolling. A like does not really tell us a whole lot these days, because a like does not take more than half a second to do. Reading a caption, clicking on the little, find out or read more piece of it, and leaving a comment, those are all things that are going to count as engagement. So the first thing is you got to hook them in. Okay. The second piece is what her question was specifically about, which is the caption. Here is where you need to start treating your social media post as educational pieces. They need to be information that someone can read and walk away from going, oh, I feel more empowered. I feel more inspired, entertained, educated. I have information now that I didn't have before. Just putting beautiful details from this weekend's wedding, or this family was amazing to photograph. I love capturing this family, or I've been photographing this family for 12 years now. I love watching their kids grow. Guys, nobody cares about that. Your random stranger on Instagram doesn't care about the fact that you've been photographing that family for 12 years. And I know that that's not what you want to hear. It's not what I want to have to tell you. But the reality is, as a random viewer on social media, I don't necessarily care that you photographed their family for 12 years. That's great for you, but what's in it for me? That's what the people swiping through your content are asking. What's in it for me? Specifically because they're probably not looking for a photographer in that exact moment. So you just need to hook them in, give them a reason to stick around. So if you change that caption from, I've been photographing this family for 12 years, I love watching their children grow, change it up to something that your audience can feel like they get from. So change it to something like, one of the best parts of family photography is watching your story unfold year after year and capturing each of those moments. The best way to do that is to make this a yearly or an annual tradition for your family. Even better, working with the same photographer means that I know your family dynamics. I know how your kids behave. I know what they like and they don't like and how to get the best smiles out of them. You're not having to start over again year after year with a new photographer. Working with the same photographer each year ensures that you are going into it with more trust, reliability, and insurance that you're going to get the photos you love time after time. That not only tells them the same thing you're trying to tell them with the first caption of book with me or work with me because I'll be with you throughout this entire time, but you're giving it in a way that makes people go, wow, I hadn't thought of it that way. Yeah, that's true though. If I work with the same photographer, then I don't have to feel like I'm starting over again every fall when I want to book family sessions. So that makes sense. And so putting it that way, transforming your captions into something that is going to benefit the reader is the best way to make sure that they are engaged with the content, because you're giving them something that's for them. Now, I will be completely honest here and I'll be transparent. I used ChatGPT to help me with that. I went in because I was like, okay, how can I turn this caption of I've been working with this family for 12 years. I love watching their children grow. How can I reframe that in a way? And I put it in ChatGPT and I said, help me reframe this in this way. And it came back with a very similar response to what I just read to you online, or what I just read to you on this podcast. And now it wasn't verbatim what ChatGPT said, but I took the idea it gave me and I put it into my own words and I expanded on it. But had I tried to do that all myself, I probably would have sat here for way too long, overthinking and overanalyzing and rewriting, when really I needed a quick 10-second fix and then I'm done. I can move on with my day. So another example of how you can utilize ChatGPT to take the content you're already putting out there and reframe it in a way that's going to serve your audience better. Okay, the third and final piece of this is, once you have them hooked in, they're reading your caption, you have to tell them what action to take next. People need guidance. They need to be told what to do. Turn here, park here, go in this entrance, enter, exit. I mean, think about all the things in our day where we're being told what to do. And guys, it makes our lives so much easier, especially when we have so much coming at us in a day, so much content coming into our brains, that there are so many times, I know I do this every day, when my family's like, what's for dinner? And I just want to go, I want somebody else to make that decision. I just want someone to tell me what we're having for dinner. I'll fix it, but just tell me what it is. I don't want to have to make another decision. So when you're giving your audience a blank slate and you're saying, here's my photo, here's my caption, you figure out what you want to do with it, they're going to choose nothing. They're going to choose, I don't want to have to decide, so I'm going to keep going. And again, the easiest thing they can do is tap that like button, but that's not always the best indication of engagement. And social media algorithms are paying attention more to the different types of engagement. And one of the main ones is time spent on your content. So the more time they spend looking at your image or looking at a carousel post, swiping through, reading a caption, that's a big one, watching a video, and then comments is another big one, because that means they took the time to actually engage in a meaningful way. Because you can have a bot come in and like post for you all day long. That's not meaningful engagement. Creating an actual thoughtful response to somebody's post is a meaningful engagement. So how do you do that? You ask them to engage. Not only do you ask them to engage, you give them parameters, especially if you are starting off as this is new for you. You've gone from saying, look at this beautiful photo, to now you're writing these longer captions, to now you're giving them something of value. Now you're asking them to do something. Start small. Say, the caption about when you work with a photographer year after year, they get to know your family, blah, blah, blah. Say, have you worked with the same photographer year after year? Or have you, and then just say yes or no. Answer, like, comment below, yes or no. Or have you worked with the same photographer more than once? Yes or no. Simple yes or no question. Or even say, like, if you love working with the same photographer, the idea of working with the same photographer year after year, drop a thumbs up emoji in the comments. They're not having to generate their own response. They're just being able to drop a comment or drop, a word or a thumbs up or whatever. And then you can throw in some that are a little bit more open-ended. But again, guys, people don't want to have to think. They just want to be told, leave this comment, do this, share this post, send this to a friend, follow for more tips. Like, they want something simple. And then every once in a while you can throw in an open-ended call to action where you say, if you could work with any photographer year after year, no budget in mind, who would you want to work with? Or what is your dream location for a family session? If you could go anywhere in the world and take photos with your family, where would you want to go? Like, those are more open-ended, and you're going to get less responses on those than the ones that are just a yes, no, thumbs up kind of thing. But those are also going to show you who your most engaged clientele are, or your followers are. But you kind of got to build up to that over time. So Okay, so kind of wrapping up, that's the 3 parts there that I need you to focus on when it comes to social media is the hook. The caption needs to be about them, not you or your clients. And then you have to tell them what you want them to do. Now, I'm going to reiterate this one point really, really quick because I really want to make sure I drive this home. You have to make a choice when it comes to social media. Are you going to play the social media game the way social media wants you to? Or are you going to fight against it and try to make social media fit into your idea of what you want it to be? Because if you are trying to fit social media into the box that you want it to be, you're going to find yourself butting your head against a wall over and over and over again. And you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get annoyed. You're not going to understand why it's not working for you. You're going to be burned out, all the things. If you're willing to play the social media game, then you also have to be willing to abide by its rules. You have to create the type of content that it wants you to create to get attention. You have to understand and spend time understanding the platform that you're using to understand the type of content that is getting, the most views and likes and what's working. You have to be able to test and keep track of. You have to decide what you're willing to do when it comes to social media. For me personally, I am not willing to play the social media game for my photography business. I'm just not. I don't have the time, the energy. It's not how my clients are finding me in the first place. I don't have the energy to create videos and dance on reels or even try to keep up with trends and trending audio. And I don't have the energy for that. There are so many other things I want to do in my business that bring me more clients, that bring me more joy, that's not where my priority is. However, if I was saying I wanted to go all in on social media, I would have to be willing to do the things that I just said I'm not willing to do. So you have to make a choice. You have to decide, am I all in? Am I going all in? Am I playing their game? Or am I just going to be a passive user of social media? If I'm just going to be a passive user and I'm going to post every once in a while and I'm going to kind of utilize these things, then you cannot be frustrated or discouraged when your results are not extravagant like you want them to be. You have to be okay with putting content out and just getting a handful of likes and maybe a comment here or there. So somewhere in there, you have to make a choice. And unfortunately, I don't make those rules. I wish I could make it easier. I wish social media, was easier like it used to be years ago, but it's just not. So when you hear me talk about my dislike of social media, please know it's not that I don't think social media has a role in marketing. It's not that I don't think that social media can work. It's that I think you have to choose to use social media the way they want you to use it. And if you're willing to do that and you're willing to put in that work, it can be incredibly successful and it can do incredible things for your business, but you have to be willing to play their game. That's just how it works. So, all right, that is going to wrap up this week's episode. Even though I got a little bit on a soapbox there, I'm passionate about this whole marketing and social media thing. So thank you for sticking with me through all of this. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will see you back here for a new episode next week, same time, same place.